Today on TQA Weekly, I talk about everything a technician technically needs inside their toolkit when they go out of their way to fix computers for friends, families, and other people. My name is Steve Smith, this is TQA Weekly, and if ever you have any questions, comments, suggestions on our PC horror stories, you can always email me at ask@tqaweekly.com. Go to my website, tqaweekly.com, and see the show notes, interact with the community, and of course use the contact form and email directory. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, blip.tv, Vimeo, or anywhere else, I post it every single week. You can always post down below. The world is full of computers, and there are a bunch of us going around from place to place fixing them, not necessarily having all of the right tools you absolutely need to do a very effective job when it comes at it. And this episode's not going to help just some of the so-called experience, but even the noobs that actually want to help out, that might be good in computers but don't know the process and everything you might need in order to be an effective technician in the field. So first, having the right tools is extremely important. Phillips screwdriver. Number 2, most common actual bit inside a computer. Fact. You might also want a precision tool kit, especially one that has the motherboard socket standoff adapter clearly in the middle. And of course, if you want to avoid looking at like a dumbass and shorting out things, a not even $10 static bracelet will prevent you from shorting out anything unintentionally inside of a computer. You put your wrist in there, or you can even put it on your ankle if you want both your hands to be liberated, and you make sure that this end is on something that is grounded. So, not on anything plastic. Metal. So, that is the first thing. Second, you need a way of transferring files. Well, USB drives, preferably one empty with a lot of space. Most people don't do their backups, despite being told to by Windows for the last few generations, and of course by every single podcast and technology ever that's have ever actually done their job correctly. So since we already know you're probably not doing your backups, USB jump drive, very amazing, very good. Also, third, related to this, it's not always possible to run Windows, so you might actually want a form of Linux to run as a live disk to be able to access the hard drive in order to get at the files that you can actually save them. Ubuntu is one of the best and easiest ones to use. It's the one I actually prefer, and they have live disk versions, but you can use just about any Linux distribution that is a live disk at the same time that you want to feel comfortable. I'm just giving you the solution that is easiest and most common and actually most preferred, which is technically Ubuntu, available at ubuntu.com. Fourth, cans of air spray. Ta-da! Very useful. You also want isopropyl alcohol. We all know what that is. And thermal paste. Thermal paste, I've already talked about it before in one of my episodes. So, okay, why? Well, most computers that keep restarting restart because of heat. Why? Because their fans are probably clogged with thick amounts of dust. So cleaning out the fans is a very good way of getting the temperature to cool down. Sometimes though, when the computer is more than 2 years old, replacing the thermal paste also on the contact between the processor and the heatsink will allow the job to be done even better. Make sure you use something that is relatively good like Arctic Silver. I prefer MX2 to actually do the job. Now, you can also use isopropyl alcohol to clean most of the contacts inside of a computer as long as it's turned off so that you can actually get everything working. Also very good on opticals and just about every surface inside of a computer box because it dries up very fast. Fifth, computers run slow, mostly because of malware. Consider using Malware Bytes, Anti-Malware free. I also use Glary utilities to diagnose the startup, as well as scanning the system files to see if any of them are damaged. Using both of these programs will allow you to not only clean up the computer, but also repair various items inside the computer, and you can use the startup calculator manager in Glary utilities to actually lighten the load on startup. A lot of programs actually install a whole bunch of gibberish on startup that don't need to be there. Get rid of them, and you'll have a cleaner startup. That means the computer will actually run faster. Sixth, details, zip ties. I keep an entire box of them because, well, and elastics by the way, but I prefer zip ties in my case. And why? Well, because cable management, people. Computers need to breathe. The less cables in the way, the better they are placed. And of course, if you have the space behind the motherboard, the better the computer will breathe. The better it breathes, the cleaner the fans, the better thermal paste, the cooler the computer will actually be, and the less likely you're going to actually have a problem with airflow or heat. 7th, unintentionally deleted files. Tell the person to not use the computer anymore. Turn it off. Make sure that you actually got yourself a copy of Pandora Recovery on your favorite USB key that you're going to be using for backups, because you're about to need it anyway, and actually have Pandora Recovery recover all of the recently deleted files to the USB drive to avoid overwriting anything on the computer by accident. Now, of course, this is after you check to make sure that they didn't just leave it in the recycling bin of Windows like most people do. But if they did shift delete or actually empty the recycling bin by accident, Pandora Recovery is a free tool that you can use off of a USB key to allow you to recover files. Remember to save it to a different drive at the same time. 8. While I am a strong advocate against piracy, even though I believe in freedom of information, software is not information. I do suggest, though, that you make a copy of Windows whenever you can get your hand on a version of Windows that is not already in your collection. Why? Well, I'm not advocating piracy. I don't want you to copy the serial numbers. That's not technically legal. However, most computers do ship with a valid license of Windows, and in those cases, you might actually need the disk because the user themselves has lost it. As long as their sticker for their Windows license is on their computer box and you have the correct copy of Windows, you can recover Windows, because frankly, sometimes Windows is too far gone to actually repair. If you need to fix hundreds of the dynamic library files, you might as well just format the computer and start anew. 9th, portable apps. You can save it to a USB drive, and you can actually download from their own portable app store all of the applications you believe you might actually need in order to do your job at its very best. And you can always download more later down the line. This will help you do various tasks that you might actually need into the future. And lastly, because sometimes we do fresh installs, and we don't want to go all over the internet installing everything, a very cool place to go is Ninite.com. Ninite.com. This will allow you to download a whole bunch of software and plugins simultaneously. One of those download and forget type tools where you actually just click everything you need, click download, install, and let it run. Once everything is installed, you can just walk away. The computer is done. For those using Windows 8 that are tired of the Metro interface, you can also install Classic Start. It will leave in the Start menu a link to the Metro interface if ever you need to go back there. And furthermore, if it wasn't already apparent, using a second computer is actually a very good idea, because that allows you to download drivers and get information about how to repair that specific computer at that specific time. So, the links for today are Ninite.com, Ninite.com, PortableApps.com, PandoraRecovery.com, MalwareBytes.org, GlarySoft.com, and Ubuntu.com. And of course, if you go to tqaweekly.com/SE4EP42, you'll have the show notes this specific episode with all the information I talked about today. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe if you already haven't. Like or dislike to tell me if you liked or disliked this specific episode. Share with those that you believe can actually benefit from this. And have a great day. Goodbye.